Brahmarishi Vashishta and Brahmarishi Vishwamitra, they worship Lord Ram. According to them, Lord Ram is like a bridge. And he's a bridge that helps you cross from this world to the other world, from the material world to the spiritual world.
जय धारी माँ, जय सिया राम। जय धारी माँ, जय सिया राम।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा शुभा जी, हमारी ऑडियंसेस का स्वागत है। जय धारी माँ मम्मी, जय धारी माँ जी। आज हम चर्चा करेंगे, किताब है रोअर विद करेज। हम चैप्टर नंबर 3 पे हैं। चैप्टर का नाम है अ फ्लड ऑफ स्वीटनेस। जी शुभा जी, it is indeed a very sweet chapter and है ये फ्लड ऑफ स्वीटनेस ही है ये पूरा चैप्टर। मैं शुरुआत करती हूँ आपसे कि यज्ञ हो रहा था, यज्ञ पूरा होने वाला था। When the sacrifice is so pure, they felt drawn towards the sacrifice. But the sacrifice to be so pure is also their grace. So, can we start with that?
So just a quick summary and recap of what we discussed last time, so everyone who is listening can understand the context of the discussion. So basically, we have been discussing the Ramayan, and we began by talking about the kingdom of Ayodhya, the greatness of the kingdom of Ayodhya. And we saw that Ayodhya is a powerful kingdom with almost every system in place, everything perfectly organized, and everyone so happy and satisfied. But the king is not happy about something. And that one little lack that he had, the lack of a son, eclipsed everything that he had. And by the consultation of his ministers and his guru, Dasharath Maharaj, the king of Ayodhya, decided to embark on a policy organized and performed by Rishi Shringa, who happened to be the son-in-law of Dasharath Maharaj, the husband of the first daughter of Dasharath Maharaj, was born long back. But so essentially, Dasharath hankered for a son. This Putrakameshti Yagya was supposed to provide him that. So right now, the Yagya is reaching its culmination. And when the Yagya is reaching its culmination, there are some auspicious omens that appear at the end of the Putrakameshti Yagya. The word Yagya means sacrifice. And whenever we sacrifice something for the sake of others, for the sake of God, for the sake of society, the result of the sacrifice is something much more powerful. So we are seeing that Dasharath Maharaj has performed a big sacrifice, but the result of the sacrifice is going to come now in the form of something very divine and something very auspicious, which is what this chapter, The Flood of Sweetness, is all about. And to top it all, it's just so amazing that we have been sequentially discussing the Ramayan, and we arrive at this chapter of the Ramayan on the week of Ram Navami. I mean, I think this is the most powerful proof that we're discussing the chapter of the birth of Lord Ram on the eve of Ram Navami, which indicates that this whole Ramayan ka Gyan is orchestrated by the Lord Himself and planned by the Lord Himself. We may think that we are doing a lot of the thinking and planning, but actually it's a very divine plan that is being carried out by the will of the Lord. So we are very happy to be celebrating Ram Navami with you all by discussing this chapter, The Flood of Sweetness, which is the chapter of the birth of Lord Ram.
Fantastic. Truly fantastic. What a divinely ordained. Probably the gods are hearing you, Shubhaji. God is hearing you, Saina. God is blessing demonstrative learning and the entire team. Thank you so much, Dr. Sab.
शुभा जी, प्रभु कहते हैं, the Lord is assured, don't worry. The Lord is assured, don't worry, I've come. Let's talk about the appearance of Lord Rama and the divine reasons, the various divine reasons behind it.
Also explain the yagna, the concept of yagna. Is it because we all do havan? You see, it's continued from that time. So when we do ahuti, swaha, and when we give all the food into the sacred fire, is that the yagna? Some of us are doing small ones, where we do big ones. So also go into the understanding of the current generation to the linkage with why do we do havan and the yagna.
Okay. Um, I'll answer ma'am's question first, and then I'll go into the discussion of the whole story behind the birth of Lord Ram. Yagya, as I said, it means sacrifice. Anytime we acknowledge the presence of some higher power, it simply behooves us to sacrifice something for the pleasure of the higher powers. There are a lot of things that I mean, for example, there are a lot of things that we consume from the government, isn't it? We consume electricity, we consume, gas, we consume water, so many things we consume. And anytime we consume something from the government, we always pay taxes in return. And those taxes are moral obligations. Those taxes are gratitude that we offer the government for the services that they provide. Similarly, there is a universal government that is providing us a lot of things: the air that we breathe, that food that we all eat, the literally all the natural resources that we consume. Every single thing that we use today is provided by nature and by God. Yagya is a way of expressing gratitude towards the person who has given us everything. And the fire that comes out from the Yagya Kund is considered with the tongue of the Lord. And the Lord, one of the names of the Lord is known as Yageshwar. And he consumes our offerings when we throw them into the fire. So the sacrificial fire is a symbolic representation of our gratitude, our token of gratitude for everything we receive in this world. And when we offer the Lord something in return as a mark of gratitude, he gives us much more. That's the whole principle behind yagya. Of course, you don't necessarily have to do a fire sacrifice only to express gratitude. In today's time and age, obviously, if you do fire sacrifices in people's homes and all that, there are fire alarms that go off, isn't it? So it's a little complicated to do fire sacrifices today. But in this age, there is a very simple yagya that is recommended. And the yagya is known as Sankirtan yagya. When we use our mouth and our tongue to chant the holy names of the Lord, that is also a type of yagya. That is also a type of offering. That is also a type of. So, what are we offering? We are offering our energy. We are offering our time. We are offering our devotion. We are offering our intensity as a mark of gratitude to the Lord. And that offering is also accepted by the Lord. So yagya simply means uh, a ritual showing your gratitude to God. Now we will spend some time discussing the story behind, rather the reasons behind the birth of Lord Ram. When Dasharath Maharaj's Putra Kameshti Yagya was going on, simultaneously all the gods, the devatas, were being harassed by Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and Shurpanaka. The atrocities of Ravan were becoming unbearable for the gods. And along with Lord Brahma, the devatas went to Lord Vishnu to ask him for help. In fact, the devatas approached Lord Brahma, and Brahma suggested, "Let us go to Lord Vishnu." He just made the suggestion. And interestingly, as soon as he made the suggestion, he didn't even offer the prayer. He didn't even actually go there. He just made the suggestion. As soon as he made the suggestion, there's a huge uh, bird carrier carrying Lord Vishnu that appears on the scene, Garuda. The Lord is not even called, but he appears out of his kindness towards his devotees. It's not that we necessarily have to call God, he understands us, he understands our problems more than us. We just have to have the intention to call God. That's all. That is all that is needed. And God comes and intervenes into our lives. So the Lord comes over here in front of Brahma and all the gods. And when he comes carrying um, three things. Usually, Lord Vishnu has four arms with which he carries Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. These are four things that the Lord carries. But in this particular occasion, when he only came with three things in his hand. He came with a Shankha, he came with a Chakra, and he came with a Gada. He did not get the lotus. Why? Were there shortage of lotuses in the Vaikuntha when he was leaving? There was no lotus available. Was that the reason? No. Whatever the Lord does, there is a internal reason behind it, and there is a deeper reason behind it. In this particular case, the reason that the Lord did not get the Padma was because the Padma represents creation. It represents creation. The first thing that was created in the universe on the navel of Lord Vishnu was a lotus, on which Lord Brahma was born. So that lotus represents creation. And Vishnu not getting the lotus indicates that now the time for creation is gone, the time for destruction is starting. Because these demons are causing so much of havoc, it's a time for me to use my Shankha, Chakra, and Gada. I kept the lotus aside. And with the hand that was free, Vishnu, he is showing what is known as Abhaya Mudra. Abhaya Mudra is, it's if you see many of the forms of Lord Vishnu, they stand like this. And this is Abhaya Mudra, and Vishnu is telling all the gods, don't worry, I'm there for you. So all of us need a little assurance in our lives. Even if you are powerful, even if you are some of the biggest devatas in the world, even if you are universal administrators, someday you will need assurance. And you'll need someone who can give you that assurance. Many of us, we always go through down phases in our life. And when we go through down phases in our life, we lose hope. And that is the time we need to take shelter. And when we take shelter, when we have the humility to take shelter, there is Abhay saying, don't worry, I will take care of you. So Lord Vishnu indicates to the gods that I will appear as Lord Ram. And he tells all the gods, I want all of you to appear as the Vanaras and assist me in my pastimes on earth. All the devatas immediately agree that they will take birth as Vanaras to assist Vishnu in his pastimes as Lord Ram. There are two very interesting things to be noted here. When you go to God with a problem, God doesn't give you a solution immediately. He wants you to participate in the solution. It's not that he's giving you a solution saying that, "Oh, don't worry, you go to take rest, I'll take care of the problem." No, the Lord will solve your problem, but he will expect you to participate in that solution. So we should not expect anything to happen miraculously without effort. Here, the Lord is making the devatas become vanaras. Why? Because he wants to show that if you want solutions to any problem in life, you have to work towards it. You have to work hard towards it, and only then you will find solutions. And all the devatas, they had such humility. They gave up their big posts and became simple vanaras in Kishkinda. And that actually shows that if you are a genuine seeker, you're not interested in position and posts. What you're interested in is the opportunity to serve. And that is what all these devatas, they gave up all their powerful posts and became simple vanaras in Kishkinda. Lord Ram, there are two external reasons for which he appears, but there are some deeper internal reasons for which he appears. The external reason, obviously, is to kill Ravan and all the demons in Lanka. That's the external reason. Another external reason is to protect the sadhus. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. But there are always some deeper internal reasons for which the Lord appears. In this particular case, the Ramayan has some very sweet and deeper internal reasons for which the Lord appears. Um, the third reason for which he appears is a very, very private reason, actually. And this private reason is not well known to the world. And it's a very internal reason, which is a secret, which I'm going to reveal to all of you today. Once Lord Vishnu was with Lakshmi Devi in the spiritual world, Vaikunta planets, and they were having a conversation. Lakshmi spoke her heart out. She tells the Lord, "My dear Lord, will we ever get some private time together?" The Lord says, "Why? What's the problem? We are having all the time together." She says, "No, that's not private time." She says, "Look at all these people around you, the Vaikunta planets. There are so many servants wanting to serve the Lord. There are so many people all around, wanting to serve the Lord in so many ways." And Lakshmi says, "If no one is there in the room, this Ananta Shesh, there's a snake bed on which the Lord is lying down. This Ananta Shesh, thousand hoods, he's looking at us constantly. So she says, "Where is the privacy? We don't have any private time." And then she points out to the Earth planet. In the Earth, there is a small hut in which, on a rainy day, intense rain, inside that small hut, a husband and wife are sitting together and having a beautiful heart to heart conversation. Lakshmi Devi says, "I don't want this Vaikunta planet, which is so complicated. We don't have any privacy. I would prefer that small hut where we can sit together and have a conversation." That is the third reason for which the Lord comes in this world. The third reason is so that Lord Vishnu tells her at that point in time, "Don't worry, both of us will incarnate as Sita and Ram in the material world, and that's when we will have our private time." So Sita and Ram incarnated on the earth, and they were born. There were many years of separation before they got married. And after they got married, Sita finally thought that she will have some private time with Ram in Ayodhya. And she actually came to Ayodhya thinking that she's going to get to fulfill her desire of having a private time with the Lord, having heart to heart conversations with the Lord. But unfortunately, Ayodhya was a big kingdom, and if a girl has one mother-in-law, that itself is a little complication in having heart-to-heart discussions with the husband. And in Sita's case, she had so many mother-in-laws, and she absolutely was not getting any privacy to have conversations with the Lord. And that is why the acharyas explained the deeper reason why the Lord went on a 14-year vanvas was because he wanted to have private time with Mother Sita. and those 14 years were like long, long conversations Sita and Ram had. And that's the third reason for which Lord Ram appeared. And the fourth confidential and the deeper reason for which the Lord appeared was is explained by the Shiva Vishnu Acharyas. It is explained that many, many thousands of years back, Lord Brahma had given a beautiful deity of Ranganath to King Ikshvaku from the Ikshvaku dynasty. King Ikshvaku handed it over to another king. Like that, it came down in his dynasty till Dasharath Maharaj, the king of Ayodhya at that point in time. So that deity of Ranganath was in Ayodhya originally. From Ikshvaku, it came down to Dasharath. And that particular deity of Ranganath, he was not satisfied with the standard of worship that was happening in Ayodhya. I mean, he was used to a standard at Brahmaloka, which was very, very high class. And in Ayodhya, the standard was little not so good. Dasharath was doing his best, but Ranganath was not satisfied. And therefore, Ranganath, who is the Supreme Lord himself, Lord Vishnu himself, appeared as Lord Ram to show the world how to worship him. So in Ayodhya, Lord Ram himself worshipped Ranganath. And he increased the standard of worship so high to the extent that satisfied Lord Ranganath. And that's the standard that is followed even today in Srirangam, where the Ranganath deity is. Lord Ram himself established a standard of worship that Lord Ranganath would want. So these are two external reasons and the two internal reasons for the appearance of Lord Ram. And obviously, the external reasons are well known to the world, but the internal reasons are known only to the devotees of the Lord who have access to the commentaries of great acharyas.
How nice, how nice. Indeed. Indeed. I'm sure the listeners would have benefited hugely from this research you've done, Dr. Vilas.
Thank you.
And now produced in this chapter of the book, chapter 3.
शुभा जी, आपने बोला Lord Rama came to teach how to worship. What happens when you feel the presence of the Lord in your heart? What happens?
What happens when you worship?
When you feel the presence of the Lord in your heart.
When the Lord is present in our hearts, first you have a solid direction in your life. You feel a constant sense of guidance and a constant sense of direction in your life. The second thing you feel is a great sense of responsibility and a great sense of wanting to serve. And the third thing is that, of course, when I'm saying great sense of responsibility means when you know that the body is a temple of the Lord is residing within the body, you become very careful of taking care of the temple of the Lord. You do not abuse the body, you do not misuse the body, but you use it in the right purpose and for the right for the purpose for which it was created. And the third thing that happens when you experience the presence of the Lord in your heart is that you become happy. You become extremely happy. A sense of joy is the result of having the Lord within the heart. We just look at people, you immediately understand how far they are from the Lord. The sadness that pervades in people's faces today, it's actually simply a result of the distance between them and the Lord. And the closer you are to the Lord, and more the Lord is present in your heart, to that extent you'll experience joy and happiness, which is meaningful and lasting.
Which is why many saints glow. They have a fantastic glow. People who are
Absolutely.
truly spiritual at heart, they emit
Absolutely.
radiance. They
Yeah,
emit radiance and they have a
correct.
glow on their face themselves. And they also vibrate. That's why people want to be sitting close by so that they
Correct.
can feel their vibrations.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. That glow is actually an indication of the presence of the Lord in their lives.
That's right.
शुभा जी, आप हमें बताएंगे लॉर्ड रामा, लक्ष्मणा, भरता, शत्रुघ्न, ये सब प्रभु के ही अंश हैं, लॉर्ड रामा के ही अंश हैं, उनके बारे में बताएंगे?
Yeah. Um, Dasharath Maharaj and his three queens, they gave birth to four children. Kaushalya gave birth to Lord Ram. Um, Kaikeyi gave birth to Bharat. And Sumitra gave birth to Lakshman and Shatrughna. So the four brothers, they, though they're sons of Dasharath Maharaj, they are the Supreme Lord himself. And each of them, they are small aspects of the Supreme Lord. Bharat and it is said that the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, the four aspects of the Lord, the four weapons of the Lord, took birth in the form of these four personalities. And it is explained that each of these brothers, each one of them was present on earth, was took birth on earth for a particular reason. Lord Ram took birth, as I said, for these four reasons which I mentioned. But also on another level, Lord Ram took birth to show the world what it means to be a perfect son, what it means to be a perfect follower, and what it means to be a perfect leader. That is the reason the Lord appeared. Lord Ram appeared. Bharat appeared for a very interesting reason. Bharavahi iti Bharata. Bhara means weight. Bharavahiti Bharata means the one who can carry an immense weight. That person is Bharat. What weight are we talking about? Here, we're talking about the weight of responsibility. Bharat came to carry on a big burden of responsibility. Carry a big burden of responsibility. What was that responsibility? When Ram went to the forest for 14 years, he had to carry the load of the responsibility of the kingdom on his shoulders. And that load was not just managerial load, but it was a very emotional load for Bharat. It was a very emotional thing because Bharat wanted to be with Ram so much. He was very desperate to be with Ram. But Ram told him, no, you should be in Ayodhya and take care of the kingdom. Bharat followed the instructions of Ram. Bharat, the word Bharata means one whose bhava, raga, and tala are in sync with Lord Ram. Whatever he does for pleasing Ram. If Ram tells him, stay there, he will stay. And that staying away from Ram is a big burden for him. That's why he's called Bharata. So Bharata comes to teach us what it means to follow the instructions of the Lord. And what does Lakshman come for? Lakshman comes to teach us what it means to serve the Lord. Lakshman and Ram were inseparable. Lakshman was constantly serving the body of Ram, the physical form of Ram. He was like a shadow to Ram. Anywhere Ram went, Lakshman was there. You could not separate Lakshman from Ram at all. In fact, Ram himself could not separate Lakshman from him. Ram told him, don't come to the forest. Lakshman said, no, I'll come. So he will go to the extent of disobeying the Lord to serve the Lord. So Lakshman teaches us how to serve God. And the fourth brother, Shatrughna, teaches us something very interesting. The word Shatrughna, it comes from the word Shatru and Gna. Shatru means enemy, and Gna means the one who kills enemies. Technically, if you study the entire Ramayan, Shatrughna does not kill any enemy. At the end of the Ramayan, after the Ramayan is over, you'll find Shatrughna kills one demon named Lavanasur. That's all. So how come he got such a name when he doesn't kill anyone? What is this Shatrughna about? The Shatru here is not physical enemies. The Shatru is a very subtle enemy that Shatrughna has to deal with. You know what is the subtle enemy that Shatrughna has to deal with? It is the beauty of Lord Ram. Ram is so beautiful that anyone naturally wants to serve him only. Anyone naturally wants to be with him only. Shatrughna fights that desire. That desire to be with Ram, he fights it and wins against it. And he wants to be with Bharat, the devotee of Ram. So the Shatru that Shatrughna fights is the desire to be with Ram and serve Ram. Instead, he focuses on serving the devotee of Ram. So Lakshman serves God and Shatrughna serves the devotee of God. So both the brothers, born from the same mother, both are teaching us that it is as important to serve God and equally important to serve the devotee of God. So many times people think that it is important to serve God only and they don't care for devotees. But it's not a fact. As much important it is to serve God, as much important it is to serve the devotees of God. And therefore, these four brothers come to teach us four exemplary things that we have to learn and we have to live by in this world. And at many levels, they represent something else. The four brothers represents Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha also. Ram represents Dharma. Um, um, Lakshman represents Artha. Bharat represents Kama. Shatrughna represents Moksha. How does it really mean? What does it really mean? Ram, Lakshman cannot be separated. Similarly, Dharma should not be separated from Artha. If Artha, which means wealth, if Artha is kept away from Dharma, it will become Anartha. It will become dangerous. But Artha and Dharma, when kept together, the wealth that is in sync with or that is earned by Dharma becomes powerful. It becomes Lakshmi. And when wealth is kept away from Dharma, it becomes destructive. It becomes a source of burden. And therefore, in this world, Ram and Lakshman should always be kept together. Artha and Dharma should always be kept together. And similarly, Bharat and Shatrughna should be kept together, which means Moksha and Kama should be kept together. Kama and Moksha, when they're kept together, Kama means desire and Moksha means liberation. The desire should be for liberation. So therefore, Bharat and Shatrughna, when they're kept together, that indicates that when Kama and Moksha are kept together, that desire is aligned towards Moksha. But unfortunately, in today's world, you know what people end up doing? They end up keeping artha and kama together. They end up keeping money and desire together. So if you have desire for money, that desire is going to destroy you, and that kind of wealth is going to destroy the society. And therefore, you find today people are filled with karma, but they don't have desire for moksha. People are filled with artha, with money, but they don't have artha that comes from dharma, and therefore the world is distraught. This combination of dharma, artha, kama, moksha in this way, in this order, is the right combination that the four brothers teach us. So, like this, the sons of Dasharath Maharaj teach us so many things at so many levels, and there is such a beautiful connection between the four brothers.
Shubhaji, just a little, a few more words about the symbols that they represent, the aspects of the Lord that they represent, and if you could share the most beautiful cradle story with us.
Yeah. So the four symbols that the sons of Dasharath represent are the symbol of Lord Ram um, is chakra. The symbol of Lakshman is the Gadha. The symbol of Bharat is the conch, and the symbol of Shatrughna is the disc. Lord Ram represents Padma, and the other three brothers represent the other three things. So these four represents these four different weapons that the Lord carries, and so like this, essentially all four of them are emanations of Lord Vishnu only, but for a particular purpose, in a particular order. Yeah, the cradle story here. Uh, this story is not in the Valmiki Ramayan, but it's a very beautiful and a very sweet story that I must share. Actually, before I share that particular story, let me tell you why Lord Ram's childhood pastimes are not in the Ramayan. Basically, if you actually understand Ram Leela, the purpose of Ram Leela is only for one thing. The purpose of Ram Leela is specifically to teach us what it means to be a perfect human being. Ram is known as Maryada Purushottam, and the purpose of Ram Leela is specifically to teach us how to be perfect human beings. Obviously, if you want to teach someone how to be a perfect human being, you can't do it in childhood, isn't it? To be an adult, to teach someone to be a perfect human being. In childhood, everyone is sweet, isn't it? I don't think anybody is notorious bad and has wrong desires and all kinds of vices in your childhood is very innocent and very beautiful, and therefore the entire childhood of Lord Ram is expedited in the Ramayana. The entire childhood of Ram is only in 10 verses in the entire Ramayana has 24,000 verses, of which the childhood of Ram from 0 to 12 years of age happens in 10 verses. 10 verses later, Dasharath Maharaj is thinking of getting Ram married. It is so shocking if you actually read that section of the Ramayana, because just now he was born and suddenly Dasharath is talking about his marriage and all. The Acharyas explain why the childhood of Ram is underplayed. The childhood of Krishna is elaborate in the Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? There are almost close to about 35 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam that has the childhood of Krishna. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the entire life of Krishna, has 90 chapters approximately, of which 35 chapters are dedicated to the childhood of Krishna. You can imagine how many details and how many stories are there. But how is it that Ram Leela is only 10 verses? It's simply because that's not the focus of Ram. The focus of Krishna is something else, and the focus of Ram is something else. Ram is known as Anushtan Pradhan. Anushtan means, the word Anushtan is indicating governance, indicating rules and regulations, indicating discipline, indicating what it means to be an ideal human being. So, if you want to be Anushtan Pradhan, you need to focus on that aspect, isn't it? Therefore, the entire Ramayan, which aligns to the mood of Lord Ram, focuses on the adult life of Lord Ram. But Krishna is something else. Krishna is known as Anubhav Pradhan. Anubhav means experience. What experience is he come to give us? He's come to give us an experience of the spiritual world. Just like if you want to go for a 3 hour movie, you see a 3 minute trailer. The 3 minute trailer is free. But to see the 3 hour movie, you have to pay. The 3 minute trailer will give you enough glimpses of what you can expect in the 3 hour movie. If you see the 3 minute trailer and you're excited about it, go ahead. Watch, pay the price and watch the 3 hour movie. Similarly, Krishna comes to this world for a particular reason. He comes to give us a trailer of the spiritual world. He comes to give us an anubhav, an experience of the spiritual world. He comes and does his pastimes here in the material world to teach, to show us. If you love this, the little trailer that I'm giving you, you come to the spiritual world, I'll give you much more. So he's coming to kind of do a marketing campaign, basically, you know. So when Krishna's purpose is to come to give us an experience of the spiritual world, he gives us the experience of the sweetest pastimes that he has. And the sweetest pastimes of Krishna are his childhood pastimes. And therefore, he gives a lot of emphasis on the childhood. And there's a lot of stories of the childhood of Krishna that is emphasized because it gives us an anubhav of the spiritual world. And as far as Ram is concerned, the focus is on Anushtan. The focus is on the adult, mood and the experiences of adulthood. And therefore, the verses of the childhood are quickened. But let me tell you this little one story of the childhood of Ram. One of the very few stories that I have come across, which is so sweet and so special. I'll share with you. When the 4 children are born, and one particular day, the 4 of them are crying so much. They're crying and crying and crying and crying. There was no end to their crying. The 3 mothers had no idea how to make these babies stop crying. And they were trying to figure out so many things, but no matter what they do, the kids kept crying. They finally called Vashishta, the guru of Ayodhya. They told him, "Can you please help us figure out? Sometimes sadhus have to figure out some very complicated family matters. It's part of sadhu profile, basically. So Vashishta came there, and he was trying. He saw the order in which the 4 children were arranged. They were put in 4 cradles, and they were put in the order of their birth. So Ram's cradle was put first, and then Bharat's cradle was put second, then Lakshman's cradle was put third, and Shatrughna's cradle was put fourth. Vashishta felt something is wrong in the arrangement. He just shifted the cradles. He put the Lakshman's cradle next to Ram's cradle and put Bharat's cradle next to Shatrughna's cradle. The volume of the crying decreased a little bit, but the baby still kept crying. So Vashishta thought a little bit more, and he lifted Lakshman and put him in the same cradle as Ram. And he lifted Shatrughna and put him in the same cradle as Bharat. And the 4 children stopped crying. And that's when everyone understood in Ayodhya that Lakshman and Ram are inseparable. And Bharat and Shatrughna are inseparable. Even if they are uncomfortable, they are happy to be together. And that is
Wow.
the mood of these 4 brothers.
Wow, this is really unique.
The story really aligns with the mood of the 4 brothers.
Shivani, please make a note of this. We need a snippet of this quickly. Yes, this portion. I think let's make a snippet of this. Shivani, I hope you're making a note of it. This portion right away, and during these days of Ram Navami coming.
Shubha ji, now coming to Lord's purpose for taking the Virat roop. A little bit about Ravana and what Shubhaji, what does name means? His name means somebody who makes others cry. So he got that name. Tell us how you just cannot manipulate the divine forces. You just can't do it. And that's what he tried doing. And then a little mention about Vibhishna, because this is so important. कितना कुछ बोला जाता है. उनके नाम का अर्थ ही ये है, और उन्होंने ये मांगा था कि मैं कभी भी डिविएट नहीं करूं फ्रॉम माय डिवोशन एंड फ्रॉम माय प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ ट्रूथ, नो मैटर व्हाट. सो ये अर्थ, शुभा जी.
Yeah. So basically, our scriptures speak a lot about names. Each name has so much of weight and so much of importance, and each name means so much. As I was talking about, the name Bharata means Baharavahi iti Bharata. The name Lakshmana means Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna, which means Lakshman possesses great wealth. But technically, Lakshman doesn't possess any wealth. So, what wealth is he talking about? It's talking about the wealth of service. He had unlimited service, which was his wealth, his real wealth. Loved to serve Ram. And the word Rama means the one who gives pleasure to others. And we spoke about the word Shatrughna in detail already. So, contrasting to the word Rama is the word Ravana, which means the one who gives pain to others, the one who makes others cry. And that is exactly the opposites that Ramayan talks about. Ram fighting against Ravan, the one who wants to make others smile, fighting against someone who wants to make others cry. Um, so in the Ramayan, we find that Ravan and his siblings, they performed great tapasya to please Lord Brahma. There are two types of prayers. The first type of prayer is called as Sakama prayers, and the second type of prayers is known as Nishkam prayers. Nishkam means you pray with no expectation in return. You pray with no desire. A lot of people pray with Sakama, with lot of desires. So Ravan and his siblings, they did prayer tapasya to Lord Brahma with Sakama, filled with desires. So Brahma finally appeared in front of Ravan and he asked Ravan, "What do you want?" So Ravan, he first thing he obviously asked for was Amaratva. He doesn't want to die at all. Brahma said, "Sorry, I can't give you this. Ask for anything else." And then Ravan, he asked for a boon by which he could never be killed by uh, all kinds of entities, devatas, daityas, danavas, this, that. He made a big list of all the people that he could not be killed with, and by that he thought he would be immune to death. Unfortunately, he forgot two people to mention two names, and that is human beings and vanaras, monkeys. And the reason he forgot was because he felt it is below his dignity to ask that I should not be killed by humans and monkeys. He said, "What is this? I mean, humans and monkeys have never been a problem for me." So he didn't even ask for those two. Brahmaji saw the loophole in Ravan's bone and he said immediately, "Tathastu." He gave that bone. We are all intelligent people, but how intelligent can we be? There is always something that we miss, isn't it? Everyone wants a foolproof plan, but most of us, we try to fool God with our foolproof plan. We have our own smartness, but God is even smarter than us. He uses the loopholes in our foolproof plan to do his what he desires, right? So Brahma was very worried when Ravan asked for this boon, because he realized there are three more people in the line, and he had no idea what the other three are going to ask, what kind of boons they're going to ask for. So he sent Saraswati ahead to sit on Kumbhakarna's tongue and twist his tongue a little bit when he is speaking. So, I mean, for all those people who think that they are great communicators, we should remember that there are some other higher powers that can twist and change our communication. By mistake, we might say the wrong word, and we get really embarrassed. So here, Kumbhakarna, he was going to he was going to say Nityatvam. Nityatvam means eternity. Instead of that, he said Nidratvam, which means lot of sleep, basically. Brahma said Tatastu. Immediately he gave it. He was uh, he was going to say Indrasan. I want the seat of Indra. He said Nidrasan. He wanted eternal sleep. And Brahma immediately said Tatastu. And Kumbhakarna said, "Hey, wait a minute! I chose the wrong one. Sorry, sorry, sorry." Brahma said, "See, you already chosen. So I can't change it. But since you're saying sorry, I will give you a reduction." So he said that you will sleep for 6 months um, at a stretch, and then you can be awake for one day after that. So and that one day you can eat as much as you want, drink as much as you want, do whatever you want. So like this, Kumbhakarna had got a boon, and then the next person that appeared was Shurpanaka. So Shurpanaka's boon was she wanted the ability to change her form at will. Brahma granted that wish. And finally, Brahma was waiting for Vibhishan to ask his boon. And Vibhishan, when he asked for his boon, it surprised Brahma. The Vibhishan, so these three names that we spoke, Ravan means the one who makes others cry. Kumbhakarna, Karna means ears, and Kumbha means pot. It means ones whose ears are as big as a pot. What does Kumbhakarna mean? The ears are used for hearing your praise. Ideally, the ears can be used for two things. One is to hear your own praise, and second is to hear the praise of God. A lot of people use their ears only for hearing their own praise. So such people are called Kumbhakarna. They fill their ears with so much of garbage, so much of gossip, so much of the wrong kind of hearing. And that's what Kumbhakarna represents. And Shurpanakha, Nakha means nails, but Nakha also refers to attitudes. So Nakha also refers to one's speaking. So basically, Shurpa means sharp. So that means the one whose nails were sharp, but also her attitude was sharp. The way she spoke was very sharp. She essentially knew how to hurt people. It is very, very blunt and very abusive. And Vibhishana, the word Vibhishana, Bhishan means very fearful, the one who is very fearful to look at. And Vibhishan means the one who is very, very fearful to look at. So you might wonder, what is this Vibhishan referring to? Is he really scary? If you read the Ramayan, he was a saint. He was not at all scary. He was not at all fearful to look at. What was that fear that is being spoken about here? It's a very interesting type of fear that you can understand in the boon that he asks Brahma. When Brahma asks him, "You ask what you want." Vibhishan asks for a very interesting boon, very different from his siblings. He says, "O Brahma, please grant me the boon that I never deviate from the path of Dharma." The others were shocked. They said, "What are you saying? Ask for some useful boon? What is this?" Ravan and Kumbhakarna and Shurpanakha are really upset with Vibhishan. Vibhishan said, "No, this is what I want." Brahma blessed him, and Brahma felt my visit was worth it to give this person that boon. So look at Vibhishan's boon. He said, "May I never deviate from the path of Dharma," which means he feared deviating from the path of Dharma. That was his fear. How many of us have that fear? How many of us have the fear of doing something wrong? How many of us have the fear of breaking our trust of others? How many of us have fear of deviating from the path of Dharma? How many of us have fear of consequences of our actions? Vibhishan is a reminder to all of us that we should be scared. of the consequences of our actions, of deviating from the path of dharma. And that is Vibhishan in the Ramayana.
Shubhaji, a very special mention, and let's talk about this, about divine knowledge and divine qualities. Please, let's talk about divine knowledge and divine qualities, because this entire chapter is about that. Ji.
Yeah. Divine knowledge is not just a result of study, it is a result of blessing. It's not that if you just take books and sit and study all day, you will get divine knowledge. Actually, if you sit and study all day, also, you might not get divine knowledge. It is only by the power of blessings of some sadhus that you get divine knowledge. So, along with study, it is important to also invest time in service. There is a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is theoretical, wisdom is application of that knowledge, which is practical. A lot of people in this world have knowledge, but they do not possess wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come by spending time with books. Wisdom comes when you spend time with books and along with that take out time to serve great souls. When we serve great souls, that service gives you some enzymes to digest that knowledge. And those enzymes are very important to digest the knowledge, the heavy meal of knowledge. A lot of people eat such a heavy meal of knowledge, but they cannot digest it and they have indigestion. And that indigestion appears in the form of arrogance. And those who have that enzyme of humility and the enzyme of which is obtained by serving great souls, it helps you digest that knowledge and break it down into wisdom. And you can actually make out. You can make out the difference between people who have knowledge and who have wisdom. There is a vast difference, and there's a very striking difference between the two. That wisdom manifests in the form of divine qualities. That wisdom manifests in the form of divine behavior. That wisdom manifests in the form of a divine outlook towards life. It is not possible to imitate great souls, but it is possible to learn from them and live an exemplary life based on what we learn from them. Therefore, knowledge, when it is combined with service, becomes wisdom.
It all comes with their kripa. Nothing happens without their mercy and their karuna and kripa. Nothing at all.
And how does the kripa come? How does the kripa come?
It's their mercy. It's all their mercy.
How does the kripa come?
It's their mercy.
Kripa, in my understanding, whatever we do in our life, it indicates our attitude. Mercy is a result of good attitude. So when the Lord and the devotees of the Lord sees that we are doing things, practicing spirituality, doing whatever we do with the right attitude, that attracts their mercy. They decide to become merciful. They decide to bestow their mercy on you. See, everyone works hard, but there are very little people who work hard with the right attitude, and those are the people that become exceptionally great. Those are the people that become exceptionally the recipients of mercy.
And how does the right attitude come?
Right attitude comes first by observation of great souls who exhibit that right attitude, and deep contemplation on what you really want to do in life.
That's a point. That's a want. I think it's a want. The want itself is a blessing. When you want it, it's itself is blessing. And when you don't want it, itself is a denial of that blessing. So it's like making an effort of wanting it.
Correct.
So becoming conscious of having the right want.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
जी, आप sum up करेंगे? Would you like to do a sum up?
It's a satsang which I can't. It's been such a spiritual satsang. It's been like a bhakti on wire. I never realized we could do such a great satsang on webinars, and coming from such great knowledge, wisdom, a wisdom which has been consumed and blessed on Dr. Shubha Vilas, and then expressed through his two books, several books, not two, several books. It's been just wonderful. I've made my notes, but they are very, very interesting notes which I've made, where he mentioned there's a universal government. I love the sports position. There's a universal government. I liked it. I never realized it. This is the first time I've got a sentence that there's a universal government, which nature provided, and you gave a whole new definition of why taxes is yagna. Is actually we are paying, but we call it a tax. There is actually it's a gratitude for the service given, and we feel the pinch tax. We want to hide, which we are trying to cheat on the tax, but tax is given to us what nature has given us through administration or governance. It's a very nice new definition. And then you also highlight the definition of tongue is fire is a tongue of the god. Fire, when we do the ahuti, that's the fire tongue of gods. I think I like that. The tongue and Sankirtan, but you also said Sankirtan is another type of yagna. That's why you get so much of bhakti singing. Sankirtan. इसीलिए जब हम संकीर्तन में मिलके गाते हैं तो we are actually doing a part of the yagna. I like this way. So it is we give our time and gratitude to the Lord. God expects effort for the solution, and he provides a solution, but he says preceded by effort. These are the notes I made from what you said, which attracted me. And then you also said very nicely, when you have presence of God in your life, you have direction, responsibility, you respect the body, and you have a sense of joy. When you have presence of God in your life, which Saina asked you, then that means when you're moving the right direction, you're exercising the right responsibilities in this right way, you are respecting the body, treating as a temple of God, and you have a sense of joy, which I said, there is a glow, that means there is a presence of God in your life. And then you also explained the linkage of dharma, arth, kam or moksha. So you also very well said, be afraid of deviating from the path of dharma or the consequences of your actions. And Vibhishan asked for this boon of may he never deviate from the path of dharma, because he's afraid that he may deviate. I think that fear. So when many times we are asked, so are you fearless? No, we should say, no, we are afraid that I may never deviate or commit a breach of trust or might deviate from the right path. It's been a wonderful satsang, Dr. Vilas.
Thank you so much.
Made
Very honored and grateful.
My notebook. Thank you. You give us your precious time at least once a month from all the knowledge readings you do, writings you do, and speaking engagements you do, Dr. Vilas.
Thank you.
So
Honored, very honored.
And I hope we have the right kind of snippets which we can make and then move it as a thread. Both Rinki here in my office and Shivani on the back end. So I think we could make a full thread. All that he said is 2 minutes each. Today, the Twitter handles more than 2 minutes. So we could break up what he said, Dr. Vilas said, 2 minutes each, and make it into a thread, Shivani and Rinki together, so that people can get the whole satsang done with the right kind of questions prompted by Saina.
जी.
Thank you so much, Saina.
आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, हमारी ऑडियंसेस का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जुड़ने के लिए. आपको अगले महीने मिलेंगे विद चैप्टर 4. उसका नाम है हैप्पीनेस नॉट ऑलवेज सैटिस्फैक्शन. आज आपसे एक दिल की बात करके जाऊंगी. यज्ञ करिए, अर्पण करिए खुद को, सर्व द लॉर्ड विद द सेल्फ। और एक बात बोलते जाइए, तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लागे मेरा। उस भाव से अपने जीवन का यज्ञ कीजिए और आपको मिलेंगे अगले महीने। जी, जय
Thank you so
Thank
धारी
you.
माँ,
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
जय
Thank you,
श्री
Doctor.
राम, जय
Thank
धारी
you.
माँ, जय धारी।
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank the entire team of Demonstrative Learning.